Hello everyone, LRon here with part 7 of my total Terraria world Annihilation. So this is the part where we finally start going west. So this is probably where I roughly come up with the idea to employ the system of going every 10 feet per trip through. I don't think I necessarily come up with it right away. It's probably on the second or third trip through, but I do come up with it relatively quickly. Because all the way up to before this point, I kind of improvised on how to do things and kind of just saw where it took me, and doing things kind of randomly didn't feel like it was working out, so I added some structure to it. So actually that living wood right there that I just destroyed was probably on par with the smallest that I've ever seen in any world. The other one might have been slightly smaller, but the one on Shakuras, one of the group worlds that I participate in. And so we've already ruled out the possibility of the dungeon appearing on the east, so we know it's going to be this way to the west. That's going to be the ultimate goal. So my first actual play session took me all the way up to the end of video 6, and then the second time I went out to record videos, I go from basically now, or 2 minutes ago, all the way up until the point where I am ready to fight the Dungeon Guardian. That's still a ways out. It's probably going to be about like 10 videos worth. But as I've said earlier, I'm going to mark the Dungeon Guardian one in the title so that people can easily find it. Yeah, so I guess I should also give a bit of information on what my original plan was with the Dungeon Guardian, and then transition to what actually happened, because things didn't actually go quite as planned. I had the intention of building a minecart track system, a nice little elaborate one that was going to take me down into where the Dungeon Guardian was going to spawn, and then have it extend out a couple hundred blocks out, or more than a couple hundred. I was planning to make the entire system take a full 999 stack, but not 100% of it would be that continuous straight line. Probably 100 on each side would be a few hundred blocks up, or a few hundred might be a bit much, probably like 60 or 70 blocks up. I don't have a real good gauge on depth perception, so I'm not sure exactly how high I would have been. if I actually made a model to scale, I'd know. But basically, something that was like my screen's distance, or a little more, a little less. Just something that I thought that could still outrun the Dungeon Guardian. That's what it boils down to. It was certainly something that I was going to need to play test before displaying. But the idea was, so let's say that we have 700 blocks of straight track, and then at some point higher above the track there is more track, 100 on each of the sides. And so what happens is when you get to the end point on the main track, you get teleported up to the secondary track that was right above you, and you'll inertia to want to go in the same direction, but I'll have the end point hammered out so it rubber bands me in the opposite direction. And that would work out because it would be a one-way teleporter. I would only have the pressure plate track on the main track and not on the secondary track. And so then I would travel for 100 blocks, and the track will end. There will be no bumper and no endpoint, so I will just naturally fall down and I will land on the main track at that point. Because the idea is the Dungeon Guardian one-hit kills you. He does essentially infinity damage. If you have the right set of gear and the right set of potions, you can withstand one hit, but it's not really worth the effort to go and get all of those components and have all the planets aligned just for the right to get hit once. So the conventional strategy that would work against like the Moon Lord, where you just have the bumper bump you in the opposite direction, you have an infinite track essentially, doesn't really work, because the Dungeon Guardian follows you, and basically when you turn around, you'll collide right into him. The Moon Lord, on the other hand, he keeps his hitboxes way above you, so the things you're passing through don't damage you. So basically, to avoid making contact with the Dungeon Guardian, we teleport to a reasonably safe distance up so that we can then go in the opposite direction. And so this whole setup is symmetrical, so the other side would be set up just like that. So we get a nice big perpetual motion device that perpetually also circumvents the turnaround damage. And it was going to be great. I wasn't going to record the setup of that. I was going to just explain it when the time came, and build it separately. But let's just say that something went wrong during the initial phase of the construction. That's all I have time for. I'll finish the story in the next video. So I will see you in part 8.